So you can start sharing your presentation, Rob. Now, Rob will talk about bridging the gap. Rob is working at the Dutch tax office as an estimation consultant in the Netherlands. So a lot of experience. I know Rob also for quite some time, also in other companies where he worked before, and a lot of experience in sizing and also in cost estimation. So I think that I look forward to the presentation of Rob.
Well, wait a minute. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't see the option to share. What should I do? Okay. I clicked on something and then something went wrong. Okay, what heb ik gedaan?
You still have the share screen button?
What do we do? Minimize video. Okay, yes, I think I'm back. Okay, sorry about this. PowerPoint. Yes. Okay, share. Yes. Hi, welcome. Welcome to my office. I should say I'm in my home, of course, as we all are these days. I'm working at the Dutch tax office. We call that also call that the Belastingdienst in the Netherlands. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad that I've been asked to join you. My name is Rob de Munnik, and I would like to share my thoughts with you on productivity, my 50 cents. I have been working in the commercial ICT services area for many years, so the profit sector. Since 1 year, I'm working at the Dutch tax office. So I'm now a government official. So I've made a switch from the profit sector to the public sector. Quite interesting. From being on the supply side, now I'm more on the demand side. So I think that is interesting to tell you. Well, here at Nesma, it feels like we are very close. We are almost like colleagues. We have an interest in function point in common. And we feel comfortable using words like sizing, productivity, estimating, like Rick told us and explained, benchmarking. In that sense, I'm preaching for the choir, but let us not forget that FP, function points, and the sizing methods remain a means to an end. It's not a goal in itself. And in my experience, many parties, suppliers, clients, still think in terms of cost and risk and due dates. And function points may be even not well known, but yet perceived, let me say, prescribed by the organization or by the government in Holland. And it may also be perceived as a necessary evil. They do not understand. If you don't understand something, it might make you uncertain about what is asked from you. And the fear of transparency, Rick told us about this already, remains a main issue at the supplier side. And this is logical and also natural, a natural tendency. And that's why I've chosen the title, Bridging the Gap. There is a gap between demand and supply, and we try at the Dutch tax office, we try to bridge, to make the gap smaller, to bridge it. It's more like an attitude, a way of thinking. I have no silver bullet here, solution to all problems. Function points is one of the few that are here to stay. It may not be ideal or perfect. So function points are not ideal. So that's why I've placed the silver medal. Yeah, so it's the second place. I think function point analysis is very, very important and well known in Holland and also in Europe and other places of Europe and also other parts of the world. But it's not ideal. You cannot measure technical issues, migrations, etc. So we're still looking for the best one, but we haven't found it yet. So we stick to the second best option, and that's function points. So that's my main view on this subject. So, well, Rick already was ahead of me with quoting Deming. And he's saying, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. There's another quote from him. I don't know him personally, by the way, but okay. Let me tell you something about this. First, a short word on speaking English here. I'm a Dutch a citizen. I work at the Dutch tax office. I speak Dutch all the time. I read Dutch documents, so speaking English is not very easy for me. So I'm trying my best. So that's what I just want to say. Yeah. So first off, I started as a system administrator, and then I got an interest into projects, and especially the Prince2 approach, like it was the classic approach. And I've been a project manager for about 10 years. And in that period, I've noticed it's not an easy task to perform, to be a project manager in between the management and the teams. So I was educated traditionally, and Prince2 I till after the kind of certificates. And so working with product breakdown structures and fat project initiation documents, I felt that I was well equipped at that time. But I soon found out that it's a very difficult task, and also it turned out to be like a game, not getting the blame for failed projects. So as I was hoping for a team effort, being motivated together, working towards successes. The reality was many projects were not successful. So if something is not successful, someone has to get the blame. So as a project manager, you are at risk there. So I think I've had my share of that risks. So that's why I got a little bit frustrated in this role. And I asked my managers when I was a project manager for a commercial supplier, I asked for data to back up a proposal we were preparing for a customer. And it turned out that we hadn't any data at all. So it was simply, proposals were constructed using bottom-up estimates by architects, and in the end, mostly they were wrong. So then you keep on having the problem. So that's why I got an interest into the quantitative approach, and I was looking for a party, and then I found QSM, quantitative software management in Holland, and actually it's an American company. So I think Rick knows them, because QSM is well known for their research in the 70s and their relationship with the Department of Defense in America, in USA. So the large parts of what Rick was telling is very familiar to me. So because QSM has data and trend lines and all these metrics to use to have a cost estimation done. But then again, it was not transparent, because not all data was made public. So that was a major issue, because in the end, people want to know what is the data about, where is the data from. So ISBSG in that perspective is better because of the transparency. So what I want to do is I want to talk a lot about this organization I'm in, the Dutch tax office, the team I'm in right now, the kind of services we have, and engagement we service, and some examples of bridging the gap using function points. Well, I'm in a team called Team IT Control. Of course, the Dutch tax office is a major organization in Holland. Thousands of people work there in the ICT departments only. So what we want to do is do a little bit more than just do only the sizing. We want to travel along with the people we do it for. So we want to provide insight into performance and maintenance risk. So we also, as IT, SIG, I think Hans and Lodewijk will tell you more about this after me, want to to provide insights so that they so that we can see what improvements can be made, so we can make these adjustments and yeah, enlarge the control of the IV organization. The IV is for information. IV stands for information. So, well, we're focusing on actually only 2 metrics. Of course, there are a lot more than that, but we're focusing on function points and SIG, maintainability engine. And we're benchmarking with our own projects and also market references. So practice what you preach. We assemble our own data and also have market references like Gartner, etc., Ernst & Young, that are also looking at our data and giving market references to us. And because we are big and important, we also have a tendency to come in the media. So when things go wrong, like the large projects, we are really vulnerable on that perspective. So you want to have as little failed project as possible, of course, but it's not always. We have not always succeeded in that. So I just want to say there are many things you can do with metrics, and we focus on function points and SIG. So this is an example, or a list of things we do. We do the estimation beforehand, before a project. We use function point as a sizing method. We have our data to compare plans with. And we follow each, well, I cannot say really project. Mostly there are programs and there are program increments, the agile approach, and then we have a steadily during the year we do our sizing and also evaluations. So we try to measure how much is done, how much function points are delivered, and how many hours are spent on a project. But also maybe interesting, we do not only do this for the development side, also for the maintenance part. So actually the installed base, that requires also some effort from people, and so we have also a method to evaluate the cost of the maintenance side of projects. So that's something interesting, I think. Moreover, we have several development environments, including Java, but not limited to Java, COBOL, .NET. We also use IBM products, building blocks like BPM and BRM, the rules engine of IBM. And of course, we have also packages like SAP. Furthermore, we also have the specification phase or activities that has to do with requirements and specifying also in our targets. So we also look at the analysts and how much time they spend on specifying epic stories and features. And the last from this list is interesting because we understand that productivity factors, that's the difficult story. There are many, maybe countless number of productivity factors, but we assembled those factors, asking project managers and release train engineers what happened with their flow, what happened with their team stability, all these things. So we gather some information on productivity, which we can relate to their productivity levels. And currently you have a database of more than 3,000 projects or trajects, how you call it. Okay, working towards some examples. I'm showing this. This is from Ifinity. So this is something I'm allowed to share from. I have authorization from Richard Sveer. He made these pictures. Actually, it's tempting to see this these contract types from low to high. So it's tempting to assume that you should go up the circle. So that time and material is the lowest or least acceptable, and outcome-based should be the best one, and is always your goal. But that's not what actually is the case, because in time and material engagements, you hire people who do the work for you without formal agreements on levels of productivity. This is not a bad thing, and this may work for you. If you are happy with the results, stay with them. If you're not happy with the results, have it replaced and try it again with another team. That's also possible. The fact is, the use of metrics is a giant step. Actually, with the introduction of any reliable metric, a big improvement is made. Yet continuous fact-based is mostly a client-only responsibility, and continuous output-based is also responsibility of the supplier. But it's something you have to grow into. So also a fixed price engagement is not a bad thing. It requires a thorough understanding of the matter, full control of the project, full control on the process, the progress, and the knowledge about productivity levels. In practice, not only the price, but also the scope and timing are determined beforehand. This frequently leads to high pressure, low quality, and stress on the relationship. Function points may be used, but suppliers may not know their own productivity. So this type of contracting, fixed price contracting, is really very hard on the relation between parties. Well, outcome-based, the highest one, the green one, is may sound like ideal, but I think in the government setting, as I'm right now with the Dutch tax office, we cannot share future benefits with suppliers. So we have not business-like goals. We're a not-for-profit organization. So the best thing we can do is try to work towards continuous output-based contracts. And to be honest, mostly it's not even possible. It's not possible with all suppliers and all relations. So you have to work on your maturity level. It already came into place here before. Let me say it. So you can, with output-based contracting, you pay by output. So that's something you must be able to live up to. Your relationship with your supplier should be at a very high mature level to reach that. Okay. Let me see. So this is a picture of how this works. You have a plan and something, a relationship, a contract with your supplier, and you also agree on the metrics you use to have invoices paid. So that's something is really depending on the relationship and the maturity of it. Okay, go next. This is a lot of text. Of course, the slides are being shared. Getting such a supplier-based or output-based contract is really not simple. So you have to have specialized people doing that for you. And interesting is, suppliers do not know their own productivity. The data they assemble may not be useful for the new engagement. So that's something. Of course, you should. Maybe you think we try to avoid too much cost. Yes, we do. But also having a too low price for suppliers is also a risk, because people will, well, those organizations also need to exist. And so it's also a risk to have a too low price per function point. Let me say. So what I'm showing on the right is here SIG scores. That's something you can agree upon or beforehand, what levels of maintainability the code should be. And the higher the maintainability, the lower the cost of implementing enhancements or fixing defects. So that's something you can work towards. But of course, you have to have a mature relationship. Something about these examples I'm using. First of all, of course, we are the Dutch tax officer. I'm not using any real names, and the other is I'm using success stories. So the main question is: have projects failed at the Dutch tax office? Yes, they have, and they still are. So that's not a mystery. But of course, I'm biased. So I've chosen some success stories that are have to do with function points. And of course, I believe in function points, so that's why I'm showing examples where function points actually work. So that's something. And well, it's more about correlation and causality. Productivity drivers we find, like team stability, the quality of the code, and the quality of the specifications themselves, and having an agreement on a minimal viable product is mostly mentioned as a main productivity factor for failure, but also for success. But it doesn't mean that if you have a stable team that you automatically have a high productivity. That's not the same thing. So actually, this is a difficult discussion, and this is also something I don't have an answer to, but we try to follow it anyway. So let me see. I have 3 examples. How's my time, Eric?
You have 7 minutes left, and there are some questions.
All right, I understand. Okay. So my first example is a running project where well there were problems all over the place with the productivity, quality, etc. And then we introduced the metrics in the third quarter of 2018, and also started sizing what was delivered. And this management attention really got things going. So the team was reshuffled. There was more attention for the team. The teams felt appreciated, and step by step the quality came up, and the number of technical problems we had, incidents, went down. Of course, it took some time, but the results were really spectacular, from 30 hours per function point to about 20, and a lot less incidents per 100 function points. Another example, just trying to speed it up a little bit. This is a supplier we are working with a long time already, and one of those teams were gradually well degraded to the type of work was degraded to time and material. So people were just doing their things and making invoices, but we didn't have any control on the output. So there was a new change on the way. So, and then we started to renegotiate the next years of work. So we did function points analysis of the work that was at hand. There was early function points sizing. There were no stories or any use cases yet, but requirements and features at a high level. So we sized that, and we did that in an open way. So there was a question and answer situation with suppliers, with the supplier in this case. And we had also a discussion on what activities should be, what activities do function point account for. So we had an open discussion on that. And so we agreed after some time on the approximate size. Of course, it's an approximation of the size, but okay, this was a start, and we negotiated the price per function points and we shortened the list of excluded activities because before that, many activities were invoiced time material. Okay, my last example is actually more the team IT control I'm in right now myself. Practice what you preach. You should be bridging the gap, really getting to know your customer and invest in knowledge. So we also do sizing of packages, for instance, and SAP included. We size BPM and IBM, other IBM products. And we focus also not only on function point, try to look at other sizing methods too. So, and studying, learning all the time about specification so we can continue our sizing. Okay, I've speeded it up a little bit. So let me go to questions and answers. If you're ready, Eric.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Thanks for your presentation. Yeah, there are a few questions. One question comes from, let me go to the first one, Simon Wright. Is it okay, yep. You are recording the effort and time to develop epics and user stories. How is that about the quality? You also monitor the quality.
You mean the quality of SIG quality?
Yeah, the quality of is asking the quality of epics and features. So it's mainly the quality, the quality of the delivery of the delivered product.
Yes, we monitor. We have an automatic upload of SIG code. I'm hoping I'm answering the question here. And we every couple of months we have contact with the release train engineer and also the teams about the level of the SIG scores. So we follow that very closely.
Okay, so that's the quality of the whole product.
Yes.
Not specifically related to specific epics or features.
No, that's right.
No.
So it's the whole product. That's right.
Okay, another question comes from yeah, Colin Hammond has a question. He's asking, okay, you monitor the cost per function point. Yeah, you actually mentioned that, but his other question is, okay, if you are comfortable with sharing today your typical cost per function point.
Oh, oh, that's of course based on what your cost basis is. Of course, we're looking at our own cost. And there are commercial benchmarks that have cost information on for the supplier side. Yeah, well, maybe it's better to tell you that we see that productivity is mostly in between 10 and 20 hours per function point. That's I think the median value. Mm-hmm. So depending on your hourly tariff, of course, you get a cost a profile, and that's depending on your country and your supplier and the commercial part of the work.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, there are two other more questions, but yeah, we are at the end of the time, so let's see if we can answer that on the Q&A now or later. So we will come back on that. So thanks a lot, Rob, for your presentation.